creamy chocolate topped with peaks of fluffy meringue, all set in a golden flaky pie crust. Oh my gosh, chocolate meringue pie. David's going to show us how to make this incredible chocolate meringue pie of his. It's out of this world.
Great.
Where did this recipe come from?
It's my mother's recipe. Everyone knows about lemon meringue pie, but in my family it's always chocolate meringue pie, and it's always been a favorite for every holiday meal we ever have.
Oh, lovely. Well, we had a little taste of it after the lobster mac and cheese that they did a few months ago. So we're very excited that you're making this again.
All right, very good.
All right, so why don't you show us what we're going to need to start the filling?
My mother always told us to try to use chocolate fudge pudding. It's hard to find these days.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that before.
The last time I saw it in the store, which was last year, I bought every box they had. And I still have a few more.
Okay.
But you can use regular chocolate pudding as well.
Sure.
Because we doctor it up.
Now, do we want dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
Well, at least in Jell-O brand, the only choice is chocolate or chocolate fudge.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
And chocolate is fine because we're going to add things to it to enhance the flavor a little bit.
Sure.
We add some chocolate chips.
Okay.
Semi-sweet morsels. Take egg yolks that we have separated. We'll use the whites to make the meringue, but we add the egg yolks to the filling.
Ooh, that's going to make it nice and rich.
We also add a little bit of sugar just to make it a little more rich. And after it's all cooked, we melt in a couple of tablespoons of butter.
Oh my goodness.
And we add a teaspoon of vanilla.
Oh, you're killing me here, David.
And that makes the filling.
So you're going to use 2 packets of pudding.
We're going to add some chocolate chips.
The 3 egg yolks?
This was actually 4 because it's a little bit of a bigger pie. We want to have a nice big hunk of meringue on top at the end. I'm also going to add just a couple of tablespoons of sugar. Usually these are 2 cups of milk for each, and we're going to use a total for 2 of about 3.5. And we'll heat it over a medium heat until it comes to a boil. And I'm using whole milk here. You can use low-fat milk, but whole milk does cook pudding better.
Does a better job, absolutely. That's a heaping half a cup of chocolate chips.
Yeah. So it's come to a boil and it's nice and thickening up.
Okay.
And now we still add a little more stuff to it. And since this isn't rich enough, we'll add a little butter.
Yeah.
And once this is melted in and it's cooled just a smidge, I'm going to add about a teaspoon of vanilla.
Oh.
And that'll make our filling.
Kind of bring it all together.
So this is what we're going to need to make a pie crust. And this is just a basic pastry dough. And for this pie I need a single crust. You typically will use a third of a cup of shortening plus 1 tablespoon. That is combined with 1 cup of flour, a half a teaspoon of salt, and a tablespoon plus drizzling in of ice cold water. This is lard, which I measured first, froze, and then grated so it mixes better.
Oh, I love that.
This is cold butter, which I grated just in a regular cheese grater.
Sure.
A box grater. And this is flour. Because we're going to be making a pie with a larger pie pan, a 9.5-inch deep pie pan, I'm actually making 1.5 recipes of the pie crust. So I'm going to start to put this all together. Just use the KitchenAid on low speed with a regular beater. You want everything to be cold when you make it. You want your water to be cold. You want your shortening to be cold.
Sure, because that's what's going to cause the steam, right?
It is, and it also makes it much easier to roll out and to manipulate. And I just let it mix until it forms small pills, and it doesn't look like there are any chunks of shortening left.
Exactly.
This is pretty well filled up, and I'm going to start to add this ice cold water in. I add about a tablespoon to start with, and you watch to see how it starts to behave. And eventually it's going to form big chunks of dough, and that's when you know that the texture is just about right. You can see it starting to...
Yeah, it's looking beautiful.
I'm going to add just a little bit more water here. I form it into, not a round
like
ball,
a disc,
but a
really.
disc.
Yeah.
And I just wrap it in some wax paper to keep it from drying out too much.
Yeah.
And I put it in the freezer for about 15 or 20 minutes.
Oh, the meringue is gorgeous. Look at that.
I know, isn't that pretty?
Yeah, beautiful.
Absolutely gorgeous. He did it again, I know.
I'm a little worried that it's
He
gonna
was smart
separate
though,
here,
he made
but what the
2
heck?
pies.
Things get
Is
separated.
that the lard or the non-lard?
That's the non-lard.
That's non-lard.
Perfect.
The lard is the one that I love.
All right.
Nice.
So are we filming now, Michelle?
We are filming.
We're going about.
I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you.
That's why I have a French pin.
Brand.
I have that same mouth. You guys go for a
I bet you
spin.
have taken the disc of dough out of the freezer.
Yes.
It's nice and firm. I prefer a little French pin. Classic way to do
the
it.
same thing.
I roll between sheets of either wax paper. I actually have parchment on the bottom because
Yeah.
it's going to be a little bit bigger.
Okay.
So that you just kind of roll it out. It just takes a few minutes. You want to get it to about an eighth of an inch in thickness.
Now, the lard that you used in this pie crust, which is the one we're gonna love,
Yes.
is it's a different lard, right?
Well, we at the local farmers market here in Bosworth, Connecticut,
Okay.
there is a vendor who sells poultry and pork and other
Yeah.
things, and one of the things that they sell is lard made from their pigs that are humanely bred and slaughtered.
Yeah.
And somehow it makes me feel a little bit better about using lard. However, lard is really good, so I don't
Yeah.
feel bad anyway.
Yeah. No, not when it tastes that good either. Well, because my 5-minute pie crust does use the Crisco in the butter, so you get the best of both worlds, right? But this
Correct.
takes it even a step further, so I am so excited about this.
It does make it a little more flaky,
Oh my goodness, does it ever?
and it rolls out really nicely.
Yeah,
All right, so
very nice.
just like you do, we gently peel the
Go back.
paper off of both sides. Now we're going to transfer this right into this pie plate.
Love how you pick it up with the paper. Makes it so simple, right?
And I get to tuck it in because often that's a little bit of a problem, and then I gently peel it off. Now we have to finish making this into a nice crust.
Sure.
And part of what you do is you check and see where it's uneven, and in some places you'll have extra, and some places
just
you don't
add
have
it in,
quite
right?
enough, and you just kind of move it around as you need it.
I'm gonna have to get some of that lard, David, next time you guys go to the market.
It was a nice find, I have to say. And then I'm just gonna scallop the edge. Exactly
That
correct.
luscious chocolate filling. Oh my goodness, it's to die for. I think this is what we call death by chocolate meringue pie.
Something like that. So that now that the crust is pretty well put together, you want to make sure that when you bake it, that any air that's under the crust doesn't cause it to rise and become
Okay.
uneven.
Yeah.
So you just use
Dab
a
it a little
fork
bit.
and you go around the outside edge and around the bottom as well. It won't make any difference in terms of the filling coming through.
Absolutely. All right,
All
so
right.
you're gonna put this into a 375 oven?
400 oven
400 oven,
for about 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay.
On the edges, it's just starting to brown just a little bit, and that's just about when I like to take it out.
Looks
And
beautiful.
I'm just going to set it over here to cool.
Okay. And we're gonna get going on that amazing filling.
We are.
So now, did your mother actually let you make the pies when you were younger?
Starting
your
pretty
brother?
early, absolutely. My mother was happy to get rid of any of these jobs that she could get us to do. I have a brother who's a chef trained at CIA,
Oh, nice.
and we all cook a lot. So
Oh, very fun.
we didn't have any sisters, so we had to learn.
Yeah. So we're gonna let this cool once that's.
And then we'll make the meringue and finish
Okay.
it off in the oven.
Yeah.
All right, so that looks pretty good. We do have a little bit left over for Bella and Riley.
Or us. We could all grab spoons and not tell them.
We
What do you need a
could,
spoon for?
we could do
So this is to make that beautiful meringue with those gorgeous peaks that you make on top of your pie.
exactly right.
Egg whites, okay.
Depending on the size of the pie, sometimes you have more.
Okay.
A little bit of cream of tartar helps it set up
Yeah.
really nicely. Really just a little dash in there. And then you beat it, and as it starts to form peaks, you add sugar, and you add about 2 tablespoons of sugar for
Okay.
each egg white. Really pretty peaks. When you pull it out, you can see that it stands up real nicely. In between peaks. Sometimes it gets so. Sometimes you make it so stiff that it doesn't form those nice little curlicues.
Yes, I love those curlicues.
But I
on
like the
there.
curlicues. Throw some meringue on.
Ooh, look how pretty that is.
Meringue is wonderful stuff.
Meringue is wonderful. And I really like these soft peaks. So you're sealing up the edges, like you said.
Yep. Some people like them like just flat like this, but I like the peaks.
I love the peaks. Isn't that pretty? I love how you do that. It's just like a free form.
Absolutely. And this is now ready to go in the oven.
These are really beautiful.
There was a request that there be a non-lard version made, and the substitute for lard was butter?
No, Crisco.
Crisco, that's right.
How is that pie, guys?
Delicious.
Awesome.
Is it just amazing?
David, who's the greatest football team ever?
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Thank you.
The real football.
Riley, Bella, what do you think about that pie?
God.
Are you totally stoked you're having it again? So I can't wait for you guys to go try this. You can find this recipe at thetravelingepicurean.com. Have a really great weekend and we'll see you next week. Ciao!
Bon appetit!
Buon appetito! Oh my goodness. Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
That's awesome.